So there are many things we have done which touch, and really most of these are for the ordinary people.
Unemployment, for example, poverty, for example, corruption.
Those are the tangible kind of things people would want Parliament to address.
I do not see a member of Parliament getting involved in corruption unless you're talking about Parliament as an institution.
Who should we hold accountable for that?
I think that a member should be able to see what is in the public interest in this issue.
Welcome to this edition of Behind the Headlines, this Wednesday, the 26th of August 2020, or 2020 as we call it. The guests are already here. The panel is also fully constituted. Let's start the show, and my name is Charles Odongtho. In the studio, I have two guests, very powerful people, a gentleman and a lady. The two who are probably traversing the country amidst this COVID uncertainties, and mostly on digital media, and telling people, vote for me, vote for the other. But let me introduce, starting with the lady, as they say, ladies first, the Honorable Justin Lumumba, Secretary General of the NRM. You're most welcome, Honorable, to the show.
Thank you, Charles. Good evening, viewers.
And this is your maiden appearance, and we are glad and privileged to have you.
For this particular program,
yes,
but not in this place.
Yes, to this program.
Yes.
To this program. It's glad that you found time to come. And on her right is the Honorable Nathan Nandala Mafabi, the man from the mountains of Bugisu, a man who doesn't need so much introduction, especially when you talk coffee and the Bugisu Cooperative Union. But he is the Secretary General of the Forum for Democratic Change. Honorable Nathan, you're most welcome to this show as well.
Thank you. Good evening, viewers. For me, I must state, this is my first day to be here.
Yes.
So it is both maiden and first.
Good. It's good also to have you. Next to Honorable Nathan, on his right, is a panelist on this show, Mr. Ramathan Ggobi, a lecturer for economics at the Makerere University Business School, MUBS. You're most welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you, Charles.
It's good to see you. Yeah. On the line, through Zoom, we have Honorable Margaret Mugisa Muhanga. Margaret, can you greet people? You are the only one who has the latitude to, not so much to bother about masks, because you are safely in your house. Good evening.
Good evening, Charles, and good evening to all our viewers. It's been raining cats and dogs, and so my internet is really poor, and I hope I will be good to go tonight.
It's good to have you. I can pick you clearly. We pray that it continues being fine, so that we can have you throughout the show and undisturbed, so that we can have our discussion. Let me just run straight to, we are going to be looking at two major topics, the major topics of the week, if you like. The last week, as we came into this show, it was abrupt. We managed to touch on the topic of Dr. Besigye, confirming, but it was not the main discussion. So we thought that it should be given more time, that discussion, and that's why we are here with the Honorable Nathan Nandala Mafabi. So we are going to be discussing the 2021 elections without Dr. Kizza Besigye on the ballot paper. And then we will also be looking at arising especially out of the SEC elections that took place. Everybody was talking about it in town, and looking at other, going-ons in other parties. So we are going to be discussing internal democracy within political parties, internal democracy within political parties in Uganda. Is it something worth being proud about in NRM, in FDC? You can talk about other parties as well, in DP, in UPC. It's not possible to have everybody here, but through social media and especially through the online presence, you can pick and be part of this discussion. If you can follow us on, we are streaming live on Facebook, on Twitter, and YouTube via UBC TV on Facebook, at UBC Uganda on Twitter, UBC Television Uganda on YouTube, and on YouTube Star TV Uganda Official. So we are going to be streaming live on all those forums, and you can participate in the discussion. And whether you are from the National Unity Platform or from FDC or from whatever party, DP, UPC, name them, you can participate in this discussion from wherever you are. Let me start with Honorable Justin Lumumba, who must be either very excited or worried that one of the persons, a player they know so well from the opposite side, is not going to be on the ballot paper, or if worried that, if they have always been worried, maybe this time they are facing a younger opponent in maybe Bobby Wine or whoever. Honorable Justin, when Dr. Besigye confirmed last week on Wednesday that he will not be standing after all, did you get worried as SG and as chief planner of the NRM, or you said, oh, what a relief, this time I have maybe a candidate who is not so militant like?
One, for me as Secretary General of NRM, I don't look at Dr. Chiza Besigye's decision not to contest within the party to become a flag bearer for the presidential race for this elective cycle only at the exit. I have to look at it from the time I came to see him, to know him participating in politics. One, I want to remind the viewers and Charles that you remember in 2001 I became a member of parliament. In there they had formed the YPA, Young Parliamentary Association, which was very politically active and vibrant within parliament. When we came in 2001, we formed what we called the Parliamentary Advocacy Forum, PAFO, for which I was a mobilizer. I was the chief mobilizer for PAFO. So when we formed it, we had teams that could do research and take us through, because some of us were new, and I also happened to have been there with Honorable Nathan in Andala. So we had the teams that would do research about what is up for discussion on Parliament, and that used to help us when we would get up to give submissions on the floor. We had some information because of research that had been done. And as the time went on, when it came to issues to do with the politics, especially to do with the constitutional amendments, we were up as individuals, as a team. And when time came to decide where to go, which political side, which political color to take, I joined the NRM. I went to NRM. With some of my colleagues. Some of my colleagues went to form FDC. Some of my colleagues went back to DP or to UPC. when Ugandans took a decision in July 2005 to go multi-party. When FDC was formed, they got from the movement system, those who were all in the movement system, okay, got from those who had never belonged to the party or those who had left parties to which they had belonged because parties were in abeyance, and got from those who had, in their minds, who had never left the parties that existed in the country. Why am I bringing this? I'm giving background to this. But when FDC was formed, there was a lot of energy, there was a lot of vigor in FDC. DP was recollecting itself, UPC was recollecting itself, nurturing wounds, because FDC, as they were forming, they took away some from those political parties to form FDC. When they formed FDC, under the leadership of Hon Salama Musumba, and because at that time they had, she was more of the person who was at the steering of the party, if I recall. And the team, these are people who knew each other, but the spirit that was in was, at that time was, they were jubilating because they've had to get from DP, they had to get from UPC, they had also managed to get from the movement system, or what those, and also as they were forming NRM, some left, and they were so happy, jubilating. Little did they know that time will come when they will also have to face that kind of bruises politically, people to pull, other parties to pull from them. Now, when they formed the party, they didn't put ideology as the foundation for their political party. And they concentrated more on the strategy to achieve what they wanted in terms of ousting NRM out of power. Let me be specific, ousting out President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. And they didn't concentrate on the numbers that they had, that they had been able to bring together, most especially the young people, to ground them, to give them a political foundation so that they can be able to move as a team, to move at least with the majority. And when discussions were going on in FDC, the biggest challenge has been the strategy. Some want the strategy of defiance, the strategy of let's use strong language, strong this, and which most times would scare, especially people of my gender. And the other team had the strategy of using diplomacy. So they failed to agree on the table on the strategy. In politics, you don't have to agree with everybody, but the majority carried the day. So they failed to sit on the same table to agree on a strategy. You may have, if you fail to agree on it.
Sorry to interrupt you, SG, but and the things you're referring to, the disagreement over strategy between defiance and maybe grassroots mobilization come later. You referred to 2011. How does that 2011 pointer link to the current situation where we are at, where Besigye says, I am not going to stand, which is the major focus of our discussion this time?
You know, Charles, I'm a leader in politics in this country.
True.
When you put a question, I should not just give you an answer without a background. And I'm coming to that. And I'm even, by the way, summarizing. Because being around since 2001 to date, I have to, and I've been following politics.
Yeah, I know.
And the people in FDC are my friends. Including
your colleagues, actually.
And I've told you we were all in PAFO.
Yeah.
Some went the other side, some went this side. So what I'm saying is that Dr. Chiza Besigye has been leading FDC, but they brought energy in the politics of multi-party. They came in with a lot of energy and vigor, for which I credit them, because it was not so much in NRM like it was. But that happened because they attracted so many young people to as they were beginning. Though their young people could not outnumber the young people who were in NRM. But when they were now working out which method to use to take leadership of the country, that's where they had disagreements. And I'm only bringing out disagreements, but equally they also had strong points, because each side had strong points. So when they disagreed, they should have come up with the issue of if we are taking this, let this be option 1. Should we not manage to succeed using option 1? How should we improve it? How should we modify it? But even if we fail with this, let's have option 2 and use the second option. They felt that's where the disagreement started. And the defiance they went with and moved on as FDC without improving. Now it came to the time that defiance now was now what is to close the defiance was what was to cause the crack within the party. And when it came to time to have that issue of the challenge of the disagreements in terms of strategy as a team, they failed to manage themselves as leaders. That's why you would find they would get outside here, though I didn't hear Dr. Besigye really undermining anybody or disrespecting anybody within the party, but the people he was leading, the people they were leading, the people Hon Rebecca Kadaga was leading, they would come out to the public and expose and disrespect each other in public. And I think that is what could have caused even the crack that they started looking at each other because they don't agree on the strategy. One is believed to be a spy for Kasule Lumumba, one is believed to be a spy for President Museveni, or they calling each other moles. And I think for me as a leader of the party, I kept watching but learning. And
also happy that it is happening.
No,
perhaps.
It's not about being happy. Part of our work as political leaders is to make sure we entrench multi-party politics, but also make sure we don't look at individuals, we look at building institutions. And that has always been my issue. But what I want to say, Dr. Kizza Besigye brought the defiance strategy in the party. It cracked the party, and here we are. He's living at the time when already some team has gone off. Dr. Kizza Besigye was leading what in politics we call the alternative government. The alternative in terms of policy, in terms of what best would be for the country, in terms of politics. When we went multi-party in 2006, FDC, his party, was the leading opposition party, facilitated by government.
Up to now.
But now he's not the leader. That's why I'm emphasizing that.
In law, it is still the one, right?
It is, yes, it is. It is. But we are now talking about him as the leader. Which of now, yes, is a big opinion leader and influencer in FDC, but there is the Honorable Amriat Oboy, engineer. So when it came to the 2006, FDC had the opportunity as the alternative to even be the unifying factor for all of the opposition parties in parliament. But coming together as a team became a problem. It became a problem, and yet that was a time when we were going multi-party, when we had gone multi-party, that they were now supposed to come as the leaders and not only be leaders on paper, but work as a team, as opposition parties in parliament, to make NRM more accountable. But the challenge they faced was that they failed to bring the teams together of the opposition. And now that has always also caused problems within parliament. That's why you find that you find there is defiance within FDC itself, defiance in the opposition, because it's a strategy that had come from FDC now into Parliament, and it even came to the side of NRM at one point.
Okay, we are going to be coming, Honorable Justin, we shall come back to those details because they are really the center pin of what we are supposed to be discussing, those issues of strategies within parties, and I'm sure that your colleague, Honorable Nandala, would want to first respond to some of those issues you have raised. So let me bring him in, and then I'll come back to you shortly. Honorable Nandala, you have, Honorable Justin says things that, some of them facts, how it started 2006 especially with the return of multi-party politics, but then soon cracks still started developing. What are those points that you disagree with her on, or that you think that she has ably identified that you agree with?
Thank you very much, Charles. But first, I will plead that you also give me equal time, because I've been.
I'll try as much as possible.
Thank you very much.
To be fair with all of you.
It's today I've learned that NRM, which was from movement, applied fraud to take movement name. Because if you are saying people were moving from movement to FDC, it meant that under normal circumstances, NRMO should have used a name which is far different from movement. Because now they were using movement for purpose of lying to the public that they are the same. And I want to start from there so that you understand that the people we are dealing with are not sincere. Two, I want to say we had the PAFO, and I want to tell the public that during that time, Parliament was Parliament, and the debates were debates, because she's right. There would be research, a person would talk from a well-informed point of view, not like now where Museum 7 said, whoever, I don't mind as long as you bring the one who can wake up and say yes to what I want. And I want to state that if you want to know one of the debates, and I think if you recall I was the mover of the motion, it was about the sale of UCB. It will tell you what type of parliament it was. But of that time of that parliament, there was one fundamental issue which took place. There was a constitutional amendment of removing term limits. And my sister Lumumba said no. And said no. And I thought she was meaning no up to the end. But now along the way, she was meaning no, and she would change. Because she never wanted term limits, but she's now the supporter of term limits, and even age limits. Now, having said that, cracks come as what? I don't think we have a crack in FDC. And I want to state again that FDC is not a prison. It is free entry and free exit. And the people who leave FDC, who are going to NRM, or who want to say they are independent but more or less leaning to NRM, are basically that for them they are looking for something to eat. Because in FDC there is nothing. And I will state this, that I want to thank Dr. Biesige for all his entire life in this struggle. And because of that, it has demonstrated that what he has done, one day the people of Uganda will appreciate or learn. Why am I saying all this? Because you see for yourself, this is not a paying job, it's a struggle. This gentleman has eaten all the tear gas on earth. He has been a prisoner. I don't know how many, I think it's in the Genesis book of highly imprisoned person.
The most imprisoned
person. Most imprisoned person. But fighting for freedom, fighting for equality, fighting for people of Uganda. And he has done it. Whoever does not appreciate it is up to you. So for us who know his value, we thank him for whatever he has done. And he has awakened people. Because he was in the movement where if he had wanted the bread, eggs, good life, he was there. He was a member of NPC. You know what he was. He was one of those high-ranking people. But he abandoned, left that to come in the struggle. So whoever talks about his either cracking or leaving, he has said he has not left the struggle. He has only said he's not going to be a presidential candidate.
Yeah.
This coming election. And if this is said, we shall put a candidate. As we speak now, we have to...
How far with that process of getting an...
that's what I'm saying. So we are not saying... So for us in FDC, we are not having only one person, like NRM, who has been there for 35 years, and they say he's the only one who should continue. For them, they lack people. For us, we have what? We have people. So now having saying that, what's the ideology? I don't know what's the ideology. One of the objectives is that we want this country, in this struggle we have, to ensure that we fight until the people of Uganda are equal. Not that as being unequal. And this is what I want to demonstrate. You see, I was listening. The NRM say, oh, we are very happy we have performed very well in the youth election. Oh, we have performed very well. But at what cost? You are using a taxpayer's money. You are using coercion to businessmen who gives you resources. You are using a lot of resources to get. And those who don't have those resources have got whatever it has. From zero to that. That is a bonus. You have seen them, they're having bicycles. 70,000 bicycles to give movement chairs of LC of the villages. You can imagine 70,000 times 300,000, that is 21 billion. Yet the government of Uganda has failed to buy bicycles for the LC1 chairs. You recall. Government has failed, but NRM as a party has bought. And if you really did audit, and that's why we said this electoral commission of ours is an institution, I think, part of the appendix of government. Because you would have done audit of NRM and say, where do you get all these resources? Somebody will say, we make a contribution. I've been running numbers here. If you take 300,000 MPs of NRM, contribute 300,000 per month.
300 MPs?
Yeah, 300. That will be 30 million. Times 12, that will be 360 million. Times 4 years, because we have not finished 4 years, it will be 1.44 billion. But you are talking of 21 what? Billion for bicycles. President Museveni says his salary. Of course, he says the economy is 1.6 million. Times 12 months. Times, of course, 1.6 times 12 months. You know what you are coming? You are coming to about 16.8 million. Times 5 years or 4 years, you are about 40. So, where do you get all this money? And if the people of Uganda would question this, would understand that their vote, which is supposed to be prices to provide, to be the one, you see, prices some value, an item which is priceless means it is very expensive, it has no price, which means it's a road, it's a hospital, it's a school, it's agriculture, is being now bought at with using their own taxpayers' money, by the way. Because the money for the road, the money for something is the one they are using to do their activities and say, we have got the biggest numbers. This demonstrates that this country, we must thank people like Dr. Biesige who come up and explain that you are there, you are being cheated by a system which came to help you. So when you talk about ideology, is where I get lost. Is it ideology of buying people to vote? Is it ideology of mismanaging public resources? I can tell you, I remember in the last election, where my sister Rumumba said, he was telling the youth, we shall shoot you if you support the opposition. You remember, we shall kill you. I hope she has not forgotten. Why should people who are supporting somebody? Why? So all this I'm raising is to show you that this country, we are not in a multi-party, which is she's saying we are nurturing. If we are nurturing multi-party, you would be a leveled ground. I saw Moses Ali campaigning. They have to give him a chair to sit on to campaign. A whole old man, instead of retiring to go home, he wants to die being a what? A member of parliament. I see second day, former speaker, a man who is on 3 pensions. He's also still working, and if you see him working, you just sympathize. And I don't know what. So these are, now what will he add on value? What value? Now.
So how are those issues related, the members of the NRM who are planning to stand, how are those pointers related to the question that, the challenges that Honorable Justin has raised? Let me just remind you about them. One, she says that you have, that FDC, Dr. Besigye is living at a time when FDC is at its weakest, and that there is internal cracks in the party, that the issue of disrespect in the party, that's how she called it, that you failed as FDC to unite the forces of opposition or forces of change or whatever whatever that language was used, but and that you failed to build an institutional mechanism within a party which she says should be an ideal objective of a party. Now, how are those related to the challenge of the old people that you are saying are standing, the ones you mentioned, the two gentlemen?
You see, I think now you are not relating everything well. There are those who are looking for bread and those who are in the struggle. I am saying the old men, instead of retiring, they are still looking for bread. If they were serious, they are saying they are building organization. Why don't they live there to come and build the DP, build GEMA, build UPC? Because you are saying you want to build an institution. And we are saying if this NRM, which depends on Museum 7, if Museum 7 left now, where there is no money, those who are looking for food, it will be the first one to break it the same day.
Okay.
So now the cracks you are talking about don't exist. We have told you people are Brexit. Now.
So you are accusing, and you are counter-accusing NRM that they also have not built any institution, but personalities.
Personalities and money. But what I want to put, let me make one case. What we are talking about is, for us, we're institution. We are still here. We have not fallen. We are not, and we're moving on. Those who have left, and where they have gone, even in most cases, they have failed to move. Now, what are you saying that we have failed to unite forces? You see, in opposition, the struggle is whoever comes there who is looking for milk or food is a difficult place. Those who remain are those who are in the struggle. So for those who will come there, in this struggle, there's objective. There's one who has come looking for something. If he has not got it, he gets that. Oh, he has got what he wants. He goes on. Maybe he has increased his price. Now he can be bought now at a higher price. There are those who are still in the struggle who are moving on. There are those who are saying, the journey is still long, let me cut a shortcut. They are there. Okay. So those who are there cannot say that they have stopped the struggle. If they had left the party, then you would say it has gone. The party is still strong. And I don't know what measuring tool somebody uses that he has said. I'll give an example. Those who are trying to assign leaving party, you look at Honorable Cooper said he had left. He's using the blue to try to tell people, I'm still in the blue. We're saying, no, but you left. Why do you go to something you have left in the party? Why are those who said they have gone to Ant? Why are they not using pink? Why? So these are things to show you that they are still using blue. I can tell you very many of them.
Yeah.
To show you that if they were saying the grassroots, the foundation is still strong. Those who are living are just individuals who are on the top. Maybe have got what they want. But the foundation where the members are still strong. And that's why people want to use our colors for purpose of an election.
Okay. Mr. Ggobi, the two leaders have cited a number of variables, if you like. You know, how parties should operate, how they are operating, the challenges they go through, and some of their failures, certainly. Do you think that both of them are looking at this from just their entity, you know, standards? Are what they are saying the ideal standard on how parties should operate, institutional strength, building, you know, and all that for democracy to really thrive?
Thank you. I was requesting that since others are putting on masks, I remove mine briefly to speak, then I will return it. As you know, Charles, I'm not a politician. I've never practiced politics. But I've learned two things. Number one, that in politics, if you don't get what you want what you get. And two, that politics is not religion. Politics is about the very interests which you are pursuing as a political party or whatever grouping, and how the process through which you are going to satisfy those interests. That's why you see that in all the advanced democracies, political parties were created and they are running on particular objectives. And those objectives, I think that's what Honorable Lumumba was referring to as ideology. And without those ideology or political objectives to which you are created, the kind of interests you want to serve, it becomes so difficult to hold a group of adults to think in a particular way and also move in a particular way to satisfy whatever they are pursuing. When you do not have those well-articulated objectives or strategic objectives, you end up concentrating on tactics of particularly winning power, and you get lost sometimes on the way, because some people, when you fail to win the power, they will drop off because you didn't in any way define for them the long-term or the strategic objective of your organization. So I see in Uganda's politics one challenge, that we have a number of people who, because of certain short-term interests, they sit together on a particular day and they say, let us start pursuing this. And in most cases, they are pursuing certain short-term objective. For example, in most cases, when you hear what they call a struggle, it's about removing the incumbent as the ultimate, as the end game. Now, you need to start asking yourself, what do we have as the binding manifesto or objective that we sell to the people, which will be there for quite some time for people to start aligning and having their interests aligned to that. I see very few political organizations which are trying to do that.
Do we have any in Uganda?
Yes. Democratic Party had a very strong ideological orientation of pursuing justice as well as socio-economic transformation at the beginning. They dropped off the socio-economic transformation, they remained with the truth and what? And justice. Now, when some people do not see that that is a very, clear and important issue, they drop off and they go to where their interests can be served. I see the NRM today, that's why you see they emphasize a lot the four aspects they want to pursue. They talk of Pan-Africanism, they talk of patriotism, then they talk of socio-economic transformation, which actually was originally a DP thing, and then they talk of the fourth one is democracy, I think. You see that when you define those, you start to align people in a certain direction. They enjoy the advantage which Honorable Nandala is talking about of the incumbents, which comes with the resources, and those resources serve the short-term interests. These are the interests of people, survival, bread and butter. But at the same time, they can keep a certain group of people in a certain ideological orientation. Some of the other parties, they talk of struggle to liberate Uganda. But you go back, people will start to ask, you are liberating again Uganda from what? And there you are going to go into explaining things which are not necessarily tied to people's longer term interests. If, for example, somebody came and is building a party on cooperative movement, that we want to cooperate as Ugandans, and for us to build these cooperatives, we need to, because, for example, Honorable Nandala is known here as a guru of cooperatives. I wish he had sold this to FDC. Today would be having so many people, especially in the rural Uganda, who would want to cooperate and do agriculture, do trade, do other businesses. Some are marketing cooperatives, others are production cooperatives. It would align a lot of people in a certain lineage. Okay. But I see a lot of people in politics of Uganda doing what psychologists call motivated reasoning. Motivated reasoning is where you try to form and actually perpetuate a false thinking because you are too much attached to that thinking. It eventually becomes your own kind of way of justifying that falsehood.
You start believing in the falsehood.
You start to believe in it. To me, I think I may not be a professor of politics, but I can tell you as a student of political economy that unless parties in Uganda addressed that, they will face a lot of some people coming in the waves of excitement, but then they go after a time because they have failed to show the cause of why people should continue aligning.
When I asked you, I want us to go for a break briefly. When I asked you whether there is a party that has the kind of needed ingredient, you referred to the DP, and then you said initially, but that along the way it also fell through. Does that mean that no party now, in your view, in Uganda currently, has any of those?
Unfortunately, it is now the incumbent party which is again riding on the tide of ideology. And as a result of that, even actually,
why do you say unfortunately? Why do you say unfortunately?
Because it is the one which should be challenged. And you know, if you want to build democracy, you need to have no one party over dominating the political space.
Okay.
But to me, Uganda is quite over dominated by the people in yellow.
Okay, good. Let's break very briefly, and when we come back, I will bring in Honorable Margaret Muhanga, but also bring back the discussion, a lot of things that have been brought in, new ideas, many of them from Ggobi, that the Secretary Generals need to respond to specifically. But let's go for the break now.
You are our winner tonight! Uganda come together, and we win it together. Hey! Me and you, you and me, Momonyabo. You and I and you, Momonyabo. When you win, I win also. When you dance, I dance also. I'm concerned up at President. Mami now, what do you want? I join me here. Together, I see we are winning. Me and we.
Ono ye Momonyabo together. Kozesa by MTN app oba miga star emomo kagatano hash okugula airtime oba bundles wefunira omukiso kwewangulira omudidi gw'ensimbi eziwulira ddala obukadde obutaano buli lunaku nga zizo n'abaagalwa abo. Tosubwa akazannyo ka Momonyabo ku ssaawa 2 n'eddakiika 2 ez'akawungeezi okuva ku Mande okutuusa ku Lwokutaano.
COVID-19 is a disease caused by the new coronavirus. Know the symptoms. They include fever, coughing, muscle pain, shortness of breath. What can you do? Wash your hands frequently with soap and water for 20 seconds or use an alcohol-based hand rub. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. When coughing or sneezing, cover your mouth with a tissue or flexed elbow. Discard tissues into a closed bin and then wash your hands. Maintain a distance of at least 1 meter between yourself and someone who is ill. Seek medical help if you display symptoms. Wear a mask if you are coughing or sneezing, or if you are caring for someone who is sick. Dispose of your masks into a closed bin and then wash your hands. Check trusted sources regularly for accurate information. Remember, the best prevention is to keep yourself healthy and follow these safe steps.
It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field could not be possible without it.
And now we can watch our favorite show.
My radio is my best friend.
UCC provides an enabling regulatory environment and policy guidance for healthy competition. We also facilitate ease of doing business in the communications sector through licensing, standardization, spectrum management, tariff regulation, rural communication development, and consumer empowerment. An informed consumer is an empowered consumer. UCC supports local content and innovations. Driving the development of a robust communication sector in Uganda is Uganda Communications Commission.
Welcome back from the break. This is Behind the Headlines on UBC, and we are broadcasting to you live from the broadcast house here on in Kampala and Nile Avenue. The guest we have in the studio, the Secretary General of the NRM, Honorable Justin Lumumba. We have the Honorable Nathan Nandala Mafabi, Secretary General of the Forum for Democratic Change. And we have the panel of Ramathan Ggobi, an economics lecturer at MUBS, together with Honorable Margaret Mugisa Muhanga, who is on Zoom from Fort Portal. And I am told by my technical team that the network is not very good, but we can still have Honorable on a smaller screen. Honorable, can you pick me clearly?
Yes, I can pick you. You are now loud and clear.
Good, good. I can also pick you. I needed you to weigh in. Before we went into the break, you had the varying arguments from the two Secretary Generals on what a good multi-party system should produce or should be like, and where the contradictions are, and Ggobi, of course, weighing in and saying that in his view, actually, no major party is actually holding on to the right ideals of a multi-party system. What do you think is your view? Honorable Muhanga.
Can you hear me, Charles?
Yes, I can hear you, Honorable. I was asking, what is your view? You are a member of the NRM party. I guess you are in the membership of that party by conviction, and which conviction must be based on some ideals that you follow. Do you think that the NRM is running the conducive environment for a multi-party system? Sorry, I think we shall catch Honorable Margaret. We will try her again. The network is terrible, I am told. The line is dropping. Let me come back to the studio with Honorable Justin. Your colleague Nathan counter-challenged and said even the NRM is not building a system, that it is only relying on individual strength, and as some people would want to argue, that actually it is power that that keeps you together, not so much the ideology. Do you agree with that assertion? If not, what do you say to that?
I disagree with him on the basis that them as FDC, they even disagreed within FDC whether they should form structures, party structures from the grassroots up to the national level, or they should only have structures at the national level. That is also something that they disagreed as a party, within the party. And yet, for a political party to have strength, you must have structures at the grassroots. The votes lie in the villages, lie at the lowest administrative unit, which is the village or a cell, depending on whether urban area or rural area. That's why at times, at some polling stations, they could fail to have agents. And for me, I think this is also responsibility of us as political parties, as we nurture the multi-party the practice of multi-party politics in this country, under iPod or or whatever platform we have as political parties, we should, I think, help each other to learn how to entrench our parties in the country, so that they are even able to live when Honorable Nandala is no longer the Secretary General of FDC, Kasule Lumumba is no longer the Secretary General of NRM, because it's our responsibility at this time. But where you find that instead of us concentrating on building structures, you find a political party concentrating on removing the incumbent or hosting out the leadership, which is the leadership in power, without even having structures at the grassroots. So I want to disagree with him on that basis. The issue he's talking about, the issue of Dr. Besigye, that it is a struggle. Yes, it's a struggle. Even within NRM, it's a struggle. Let me give an example. His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, Dr. Besigye and the team, the members of the team, when they left and the bush and liberated this country, they came with very good policies that were meant to make NRM or movement to achieve the different objectives they had, the 10-point program. But whatever achievement they would make would bring in more challenges. Let me give an example. When they took the decision that they should immunize all Ugandans, the children in Uganda, when the children were immunized, then the children had no schools to go to. The schools were not there. So now there was a new challenge brought in. They now had to struggle to make sure they bring in UPE for children to go to school. So when they brought in UPE, the children went to school. There were no secondary schools. So the government, people in government had to struggle to make sure they provide secondary education, free secondary education. And after providing that, now there was university. The universities that were available in the country would not absorb the numbers that were at hand. Now they had also to liberalize university education. So whatever you do brings in another challenge. And when a new challenge has come in, it calls for, it is now another struggle you have to take on. Now that people have been taught by Dr. Ggobi and the team, they've graduated, the jobs are not enough. We also have to face that struggle, all of us. Not only we in NRM, but even them in the opposition equally. Them as individuals have children who have completed school or relatives, but they would also want to see Ugandans get jobs. So we are all in the struggle, and that's why even the opposition is equally facilitated to make sure we work together. So we are all in a struggle, Honorable Nandala Mafabi. You're also in a struggle. I'm also in a struggle.
And when everybody is educated, standards of living improve, the age of death will also increase. More challenge. Life expectancy.
So it is a struggle for everybody. So I don't want him to think that it is only a struggle for Dr. Kizza Besigye alone. The struggles may be different. He may be having a political struggle. You have an economic struggle. Another one has a different struggle, but the struggles are on. So it is not him alone. It is true. It is a struggle for Dr. Kizza Besigye, but equally for you and even others. Then the issue of the yellow bicycles, we have audited accounts. And you are free as a professional in that area to walk to the Electoral Commission. These are public documents and look at them.
Do you, Honorable SG, do you forward all this, do you present all your accountability to Electoral Commission? Maybe that's where you should challenge him to check. Is it from Chadondo Road, your secretariat, where he can go to check if we challenge him, or should he go? What are the accounts for which he should go to? Maybe Chadondo Road or Electoral Commission.
Registered political parties are required to take their audited accounts, even the resources, the liabilities, to declare them to the Electoral Commission.
Yeah.
It's a requirement. He does, and we also do. So
Honorable Nathan, why don't you
free
people do that?
to walk there. I'm just sharing with him where he's free to walk and go. So when he's talking about even donations, we are supposed to
declare.
Yes, we are supposed to, and we do.
Do you?
Yes. So when he talks about that, actually, I'm just reminding him where we can go and get to see all of this. The issue of where he's talking of the people who are, I would call my elders, who are contesting in the party, I think it is, he should not look at only NRM. He should look at even some of the flag bearers in FDC, in the different parts of this country. They've given us, they brought a flag bearer for the post of Mayor Jinja City. Is equally not young. He's older than Honorable Nandala Mafabi. So when he's talking about the elderly in NRM, he should also look at the elderly in his party.
Maybe there are some elders,
when he talks
Honorable Justin, there are some elders who might be 60. You can say that is more acceptable than those who are 90 or 85 threatening 90.
Or elders who have had poor feeding.
I think.
Yeah? Because they don't have bread and butter, they have bad skin.
Maybe that's what Honorable Nathan is referring to.
You know, I think let's wait for the time when people have been nominated. We shall go and look at their nomination forms to be able to be so accurate with the issue of birth. But you know, when he's talking of people whose cells mature so fast, sometimes it's because of they decide to be angry all the time, and the body produces chemicals that make their cells mature so fast and make them grow foreheads that show that they are too old. But for me, I would say Dr. Kizza Besigye actually should be the best person to advise us on this, to advise me and Honorable Nathan. But that is not for now. We shall go to him as a specialist to take advantage of that, as his friends, as his colleagues in the political arena in this country. So, but what I wanted to say, the issue of the ideology of buying people, you know, Honorable Nandala Mafabi, when you say this, and I've heard of accusations where certain people accuse certain people because they are heading certain institutions, either cooperatives or different departments or different committees in the parliament, when they are facilitated to do their work, or when the government pays to those cooperatives what is entitled to them, they are misunderstood. I think Honorable Nathan should explain to me this more, if this is really out of what the allegations that have been made outside there about particular individuals. Then when he talks of, I said that we shall shoot your people if they support the opposition. I never said so. During last elections, you were part of the team that was mobilizing the youth, that after voting, go and demonstrate on the roads. Go and demonstrate on the roads. And you were telling other people's children, not your own children, to go and do that. You had left your children to live where they are, whether they are living in London, whether they are living in Kampala, or living in Mbale, or in Bujiri, but telling the children of the ordinary Ugandans that after you voted, you the youth, go and demonstrate on the roads, go to Kampala and demonstrate. My issue was, why are they telling your children to go and demonstrate in Kampala with no justifiable reason, and then yet theirs are indoors or theirs are outside the boundaries of Uganda? So I was very specific and say, fellow women, I was in Wakiso, fellow women, talk to your children. People are talking to your children, telling them to go and do what will cause them problems. Because assuming they are demonstrating, and then there is a stampede. Assuming they are demonstrating, and they harass somebody, would the state look on? It's the responsibility of the state. And I don't deny that. You people in the opposition, not all of you, but some of you have a habit of wanting the children of others to be the ones to come and lead your cause, leaving yours in the universities in London, in universities in America, leaving your children in your bungalows, leaving your children in your calinas, in your flats. Bring yours at the forefront.
Okay.
So the issue of what he says that FDC, even in Parliament, when he says it's not a crack, how do you, even in NRM, some members of NRM left, we are not happy about it, because politics is about numbers. And when you are going for an election, as a Secretary General, you can't say it's not a crack when members left. For me, as a Secretary General of NRM, yes, I lost 3 getting out of NRM, but I'm trying to pull them back because I need them back as I get more back, because my work is to make sure the numbers I found, I maintain them, I add on and leave when they are bigger numbers, but not to be a Secretary General and then leaving behind a number less than the number you found in the party. Okay. So I think some of these things we should define based on the politics. The politics in this country is that the winner takes it all. So for me as Secretary General of NRM, my work is to make sure I get more and get more. Whether I'm getting from FDC or from UPC, you can label them whatever you want to label them that they want to eat. But remember, in this country, there are people who are supporting FDC. You mean those who are supporting you don't know that there is NRM? Are you demeaning them? You want to show them the direction? Is that what it means?
Okay, Honorable Nathan, you have to respond. That's a fair challenge. The politics of numbers, and you are a number cruncher yourself as an accountant. There has been, I think, was it last week or the other week when we discussed parties, and also some of these things came up. And I think one of the members, I don't know whether it was Honorable Miro, who talked about the fact that Dr. Besigye came and created a number of MPs, over 37 at one time. I think he reached 47. Right now,
no, the highest they've ever been in Parliament is 38.
38.
Yes.
FDC.
Is right.
There was one time they reached 47.
No, they've never been 47. Since we went to multi-party, I've been in Parliament.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. We will cross-check, but let me take your word for now. But coming from that number, Honorable Nathan, now you have less in the House. Doesn't that, plus other pointers, show that you have dwindled in your strength, for which you should be held liable as a Secretary General? Is that not a fair challenge from your colleague, the Secretary General of NRM?
No problem, but I'll answer it. Okay. First of all, I want to make a correction.
Yeah.
We have built our structures from the ground level.
Okay.
And the difference is that our structures, because we don't have what we will call resources, like they have, that they will will be existing. Some of them, if somebody came to FDC with a mindset that I'm supporting FDC, that one you can't buy him or you can't leave the party. But him who is coming with a mindset that is looking for what he can get, then the NRM is open for where they can go. Let me give an example. With the recent LC elections, there was a man who was standing for LC1 of NRM. He had written all the villagers were about 500. He's telling them that, you see, have this book, each of you is going to get a cow. Now, because the villagers could not quickly add up, because if a Oro sub-county gets 2 cows in a year, how do you expect your village to get 500 cows? So everybody was saying, you are the next, you are the next. So people want to vote the man. Now they're asking him the cows, they are not seeing them. Why? Because they know the person who can bring a cow is the NRM. But the FDC will not bring. So the FDC man will tell you, for me, I want to be here with you to support me so that I take care of your interests in the form of 1, representation, 2, to ensure that your voice is heard, 3, to make sure that this struggle, which I want also to correct my brother Ggobi, where he said that UDP was had a very good program which they cannot execute because you need power to execute it. Because if you're not a president, you will not execute what you're saying. You would have a very good program. I want to tell everybody FDC had the best manifesto. In any case, in 2006, they are the one who said, when we take power, we shall make sure the elderly are paid, are remunerated. They copied it. You go and check the manifesto of FDC. They said, you remember in 2001, Dr. Jessica said, we shall remove graduate tax, we shall increase the number of universities from 4,000. They also said they had to copy it, which they had refused. So, they copy. When you copy somebody's idea, does not mean the man has no plan, no ideology. This is which I wanted to make clear. 2, the party we're talking about.
Isn't that what your work is supposed to be as the leading opposition?
That
you are supposed to present alternative policies. And if they are copied, isn't that good?
If I'm in manifesto, I sell it to the public, and they see it, they should give me a vote to take power. But if they don't give you because you don't have resources to give them fast, looking for resources first before you do it is where the problem is.
Okay.
And where the people of Uganda, one day they will know that you don't need to be bribed first. You take me on Facebook, on face value, give me the authority, and it's like calling me I'm lazy. When you have not given me a hole to dig, you cannot call me lazy.
Okay.
Now, that's where now I come to tell my sister Justine. She's right to say that you have very few numbers, but these numbers are genuine numbers. They are genuine because those who are going there are saying we're going in for nothing, but only to represent our people with our entire, what I have only is my Facebook, my face value. But those who want money will go their side. So even those few who are in opposition, I want to congratulate them at whatever level, whether at village or whatever, it is good. And that's what I'm trying to say. That I want to congratulate those who are in opposition at whatever level. And I want them to continue because this struggle is not for pay. Because you are in the village, you're not going to get a bicycle because you're not in NRM. Your friend will be riding. So you must take a heart to accept that. No, I don't mind about that bicycle. It's on my tax. I will walk until one day I will make sure that the people of Uganda, all of them have bicycles. Now, what are we talking about? You see, you talked about jobs. Today, I want to tell you, today URA has just recruited people. And I want to read them. From board secretary to all staff. These are the new recruits. Commissioner Customs in URA, Kangurumire Abel. Commissioner Corporate Services, Kalisa Richard. Assistant Commissioner Large Taxpayer Service, Katungwishe John Tika. Now, you are talking, the constitution of Uganda is very clear. You see, these are some of the things we raise and the people think we are doing bad. The constitution of Uganda says there must be equitability, taking into interest those who are even disadvantaged. So now, if you are going to say that jobs go to one region and the people cannot raise that, for me, I feel really ashamed to say that this country belongs to all of us. Now, if I'm a commissioner, I have a vehicle, I have money, I'll take it to my region. So if all vehicles go one region, all money goes in, that means one region will be empowered. while others are being disadvantaged. I'm raising all this to show that even if the little, talking about unemployment, but if the little jobs we have are being taken by a few who maybe support the system, it makes these things very bad. Now, yes, you are right to say that at a point of when a polling session we don't have agents. What happens? For me, I've been in this election. One, what will happen, the state security would arrest your agents first. He was in Uganda, I saw how they arrested the people on the by-election, arresting agents. Two, they will buy them. Those who refuse, they will buy them. And buying an agent, you see, if a man is not convinced that he should be an agent, they will bring for him money and say, let me take 100,000 as opposed to 1,000 which UFDC is going to give. So this one will go away. But if you go to your people who are genuine members of the party, you will say, we have old men. That's why I just, my brother asked me, how do you? I said, yes. In my village, you will get an old man. He will sit at a polling station. He's not looking for money. He's looking that if Nandala goes to the parliament or Kiza wins, who will be in better position for us, the voices, to be talked to, our voices to be aired out. But you will get somebody at a polling station who says, I don't mind, this is not my point, pay me what it is. So when you bribe our agents, which you are saying you are now growing, in fact it's wrong. That's why when I was in the parliament I was saying, no, I think Electoral Commission should come up with a proposal that we should pay agents, we should be the one paying agents for our parties. That would be very good, because now what would be the reason NRM would bring money to be the highest bidder? Now, I'm happy that my sister is talking about UPE. I think UPE, I want to explain this. You see, because many people have not been following UPE. This universal primary education never began in Uganda. It started in India. It went to Bangladesh because of World Bank project. We just picked from there. And I think you said, Professor, I hope you know that story. Here we just got it on the way. So if it has come, it does not mean that you are the one who has brought it. It was the World Bank project which said we must improve literacy. So it started that they must be, everybody must be educated. So countries picked up.
Is it possible that there are some countries that did not pick it?
Of course, but if you are in Britain, how would you pick it?
No, I mean in Africa. Are there some countries that did not pick it up?
They picked it. Every country has picked it. UP is everywhere. University secondary is everywhere. In fact, for us here, we delayed. Kenya was first to pick universal because they had to be a deliberate policy. That's why you saw they brought 8444. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
So we are telling you that don't see something. You see, it's like a cow. I give you a cow, which is 9 months, with 2 days to deliver. Are you the one who took it to the bull? So these are issues we must deal with. So that's what. Like when they say mobile phones. By the time mobile phones came here in 1995, mobile phones had started all over the country, the whole world. In India they were there, in UK they were there. So these are things we must deal with as Ugandans.
Okay.
Now, opposition.
That funding. Wind up. I need to bring
but you gave a lot of time to. Is it because she's NRM or Secretary General? Please let us be fair. No. You are
left with 1 minute.
Not
to
1 minute. You see, opposition. Yes, there is political party funding. If I'm getting 180 million and she's getting 3 billion, is that the same? It is like giving an orphan little when the one was a father and the mother the biggest share. Is that being fair? Is that
but didn't you, you were in Parliament on
but the law says
when you decided on that.
The law says it's according to the strength or in the Parliament.
Why didn't
we use the population? Because Mama Mbabas, when we brought it, again, Kasole was in Lumumba, Justin, my sister here. We said, let us use the number of votes where people have got so that we share.
I remember that discussion in Parliament.
But it was
one of the biggest dilemmas you had was to determine a formula, isn't it?
We said we should use the number of votes in the general election.
But would it have given you a bigger number?
Yes. If, okay, we want to assume we have got the one they already say for 38%. They have got 51 or 52. Would be better off than looking at the number of MPs. You see, that's why you are saying we have very few members. I want to state this. If we are going by numbers, that shows you how rigging in this country is done. Why would it be a polling station, a presidential, has higher different total votes than the parliamentary on the same day of voting? I want you to interrogate all
No, that happens. You have seen it even in this last week's election. One of the, you saw, did you hear about your colleague Honorable Sanjay's complaint. And
he's right, because they had to change the votes. But that one we shall deal with it when you come to.
But that's
election.
a different argument,
That's
except it is similar.
You know, not there, but I'll come and say, but it can't be all over. Now, I want to state about the nations. Yes, the nations are there. You see, the chairman of NRM wrote to Kwagarana Group, giving an account called Masindi Investment, in housing finance, both local and Nani. I also said now, since you are getting, I wrote it to them. Up to now, they have never replied. Why? They know that if
you wrote to Kwagarana Group.
Also because they had also written, I also wrote. Now for them they get, because they are fearing.
But maybe you are not their friend.
No. If you are supporting all sides, you should. Because you see, why? Those are the ones who will get tax exemptions, who will get tax waivers, who will get nani. FDC don't have capacity to do it. So they must give there so that they go for them. And that's why you are saying, I've heard about facilitating what? Cooperatives and whatever. Yes, cooperatives. First of all, let me give an example. Like all cooperatives, I'll start with ours, with this cooperative union. For us, our demand was the government came and took over our cooperative and took our property and money. That is the claim we got. But right now, cooperatives like sugar growers, Tesla cooperative, whatever, they are coming up and saying, we had the war claims. They are giving them the whole claims. We have not gone to whole claim. We went for, you came and took our entity, which is marking. And why, you can see why my brother here is talking about cooperative. We have been there, we have struggled. Government interference in the cooperatives is a bad thing. And we must say that we have survived because we have been resilient. Those who have not been resilient, who don't have people who have heart to them, have collapsed. Okay. And that's why even the Banyakole Kweteran is no more. Now, saying mayor is old in Ginger, incidentally, mayors are supposed to be old people. People with high caliber, retirees and whatever. But member of parliament age? Yeah, of course, those are people who have been civil servants, who have finished and going. So for us in Ginger, having an old man by death, you have never known. Those days, the mayors, they would go to the town, look for who of this good man with good manners and old and whatever. But now you go and get, if that's the case, why don't you tell Moses Sali to become a road mayor of Arua? Why don't you tell Sekande to become a road mayor of Masaka? These are people who are going to collapse on their way because they want to stand in. You see, these are things you should tell your people that, oh, you are going to die. Finally, saying that the numbers are going down, I want to state again, it is better for us in opposition to have the number of people. Like, for example, you have a task carrying a stone. You are carrying a stone, taking it downstairs. You are assuming you are 10. You carry it and put it outside there. Tomorrow you come back, the stone has been returned where it was. Now it means 8 of your colleagues who you believe you are working with them have returned the stone. It is better you remain in 2 and say we carry it today, we put it here, than having the numbers and whatever. Now, FDC does not have carrots. You know, this one can apply carrots and sticks. For us, we can only say we don't have carrots, you can only be with us. So when the carrots are not there, people will always go.
Honorable, are you admitting let
me make my case first.
You are so encumbered that minus a certain level of power, you cannot do anything at all?
No,
are you admitting that?
No, I'm not. I'm saying that those who come to opposition must be determined. Are you getting me?
Yeah.
One, you will see the other one taking milk, but you say, you take your milk, for us we're moving.
So you have to endure. You are hungry. The neighbor is eating omelette and bacon and all that, and you just hold your stomach, and the children should just say, they swallow saliva.
No, they can eat grass and whatever. Let me tell you, the ones who are enjoying it now, they went in the bush in 1980.
Yeah.
When they went, were they in the carrots and whatever? Now they are enjoying the carrots and they have over enjoyed the meat and they're even vomiting. Because they have taken everything which for people of Uganda, they have even eaten for the future generations.
Okay.
So now we're saying
Ggobi,
but let me make one comment. So what I'm trying to say that in this struggle, I stated it from the beginning, there are those who are there, which I want to again agree with my brother, the professor, that there are those who are looking at short term. Those one of short term, when they don't get, maybe you had wanted to get something, you had finished, he goes, when he expected it to be short, as soon as he sees it's going wrong, he goes out. But there are those who say, no, I am in this struggle up to the end. And the struggle is what? The struggle is to get, you see what you are saying, why are you wanting to remove the incumbent? You see, if the law says the president has all the power, unless you remove him, you don't have anything.
Okay.
So that's why the struggle should be aiming who is the one holding the power.
Maybe Ggobi, start us from there.
Just 1 minute.
Is removing from power, can it be your ideology? Remove from power. Honorable Justin earlier said that is a narrow objective. That's a narrow, it's not an ideology. That you cannot have a strategy of just removing from power. You have to have something bigger, an ideology, as she referred to it. Honorable Nandala is saying that if the blockade is starting from the person who is holding that power, then removing from power can become a primary inducement, and that it is okay. In this debate of building institutions and presidential elections, can't that be a big priority?
You know, Charles, we have had this conversation. This is the third time. And I have to be consistent that when you listen to politicians in this country, you realize the fact that multi-party politics perhaps is a misfit for the society we are living in. It cannot work. It cannot work in a poor country like ours, a country which is still just trying to get a ground on which it can launch itself into what we call structural transformation, so that people start to vote for a reason beyond just voting to get either a kilogram of sugar or for an MP who's promising them that is going to pay for them when they lose their relatives, and so on and so forth. Because most of the things which the honorable members here are talking about, especially Honorable Nandala Mafavi, they are showing us that ours is not a progressive kind of politics. It's politics which is the one who is opposing, the one who is sitting is saying, I want power. First get me the power. And someone may ask, you want to get the power to do what? And we are saying, you know, those people have overeaten. That means you want to switch and you also come in and do what? And eat.
It is our time to eat.
So those are kind of statements which show you that we haven't yet matured politically for us to be able to have issues to debate about. And it's because the economics hasn't worked out. You know, most Ugandans are still satisfying what Maslow called physiological needs. And the Honorable Mafavi wants them to talk to them about self-actualization. Things like justice, dignity, distribution of...
But you are the one who said DP had it.
No, what I'm saying, ideology should be built on certain foundations. And you should be choosing them deliberately to know that they are going to serve the interests of what we call the median voter. In Uganda, who's the median voter? That voter who represents the majority of voters. Because politics is about numbers, you want to get as many people as possible convinced to give you the votes.
But does that median voter even understand what Honorable Justin is talking about or referring to as ideology? Do they understand ideology? Or for them they understand agenda?
Honorable Justin has one advantage, is the incumbent. You know, incumbents is a very big factor. That you can easily use it to get a lot of people who would ideally not be having been with you until you have gotten them into the trap, and then you start to work on them and as far as your ideology is concerned. The issue of patriotism, love your country. The issue of Pan-Africanism, we should, as Africans, support each other and we develop together. The issue of socio-economic transformation, you can explain that it is the foundation, as I've told you, of political independence. When you do not have food, you will not listen to Honorable Mafabi's very, very critical issues he's telling you until someone has provided the food. The issue of democracy is what we are discussing now. Man is a political animal who would want to, be free to speak what they want to do, to associate with their political organizations they would want. So you can see that in that way, therefore, the incumbent party, the party in power, has managed to mold out something they can show the people. That's why I'm saying, Honorable Nandala Mafabi, to tell people that I'm going to pay for the old people monthly allowance. That's not ideology. That is as some freebie as any other. You are choosing, for example, the other of saying that they are doing that and that. We need the political parties in Uganda to go back and define why do they exist. What is their fundamental contribution they would want to make to the well-being of the people of Uganda. Then these other issues, for example, the issue you are raising of spatial efficiency is a very critical issue, the way we are distributing the opportunities in the country. These are issues which, if I were a strategist of some of these parties, I would be really molding together and create the issue you are working on of cooperatives is a very important issue, because we want to transform agriculture in Uganda. Without transforming agriculture, forget about these other things we're talking about. We want to industrialize the country. Now, all these issues are under the socio-economic transformation you're talking about. But most of the parties are on things which are secondary in the needs of people. They are so much obsessed with the human rights, with the freedoms, and the freedoms they're talking about, because when you ask an average Ugandan, I usually ask my students when I'm teaching Ugandan economy, mention for me one dictator because they have been listening a lot to these programs. They start to mention politicians, and these other dictators they put on international televisions. Until I ask them, do you know what dictatorship means? They say when you haven't agreed on things and some people are imposing their own things on us. Then I said, can you agree that in Africa the first dictator you have encountered is your mother? Because in Africa, mothers determine the type of meal you will have. That all of you don't vote. All of us in the house are going to have cassava and the groundnuts. Can you imagine in such a combination? And water as they drink. Why don't they behave like mothers in Europe? Because there they create a menu where everybody ticks what they will have. They go to the market, they buy and wear. It's because the resources here are not there. So you can't talk of the freedoms of politics when you haven't dealt with the freedoms of economics. And these are some of the issues I would want the politicians in Uganda to start preaching. How do we transform this country economically? Make a very big contribution on that, such that the multi-party has a good foundation on which it can flourish.
Good. We need to take our second and last break right now. When we come back, we will be reading the comments and questions from the public out there, and we bring them to the discussion and to the guests who are here. But let's go for that break right now.
Kwa wakati huu, watu wengi wanapitia changamoto ngumu. Shule zimefungwa, ajira na maisha vimepotezwa. Fujo kwenye familia na fujo dhidi ya watoto vimeongezeka. Ni rahisi kuhisi umefadhaika, uchungu, huzuni, upweke na kuogopa yatakayotokea kesho. Tatizo la kiakili lililosababishwa na janga kubwa la COVID-19 linaweza kuchanganya watoto lisipozungumziwa. Serikali ikiwa inaweka mbinu za kupima, kutibu na kutafuta wagonjwa wa COVID-19, tunatoa wito kwa serikali kuweka huduma za afya ya akili kwa kila kituo chake cha wagonjwa. Ujumbe huu unaletwa kwenu na kituo cha AfriChild na chuo kikuu cha Makerere kwa ushirikiano na Wizara ya Jinsia, Ajira na Maendeleo ya Jamii.
Welcome back from the break. This is our final segment of today, and this is Behind the Headlines. And our guests, we have the Secretary General of the NRM, Honorable Justin Lumumba. We have the Secretary General of the FDC, Honorable Nathan Mafabi. I must apologize for Honorable Margaret Muhanga. The Zoom connection is not steady. It is dropping. It has rained heavily that side of the world, and so the connection, the digital connection, is not so proper. So we have lost her line, and we will do without her for tonight. And of course, I should have mentioned earlier that we are also missing Honorable Abdu Katuntu. He is not feeling well, and he promised that most likely he will be back, if all goes well, next week. But we have Mr. Ramathan Ggobi, who is tussling it out with the politicians here. He says he's suffering with the politicians. Why do you call it suffering? They're good people. They're good people. I deal with them a lot on a daily, and except when their interests, like you said, that one I agree with you entirely. Politicians and their interests. My technical team should be soon bringing me the messages or the comments from out there, and we shall be sharing them. But Honorable Nathan, I forgot to ask you, because Honorable Justin had requested that you explain what you mean by buying people. You didn't explain that before I go back to her. What do you mean when you say the NRM buys off people, and you did not explain it that well?
I want to state here like three things before I go there. One, if the people have no food, indeed they will not listen to you. And who caused people not to have food? Again, you go back to the basics. My time when I was growing, if you never had a clean garden, they will arrest you. Who will do it? A mutalakif. If we had cooperatives to handle all those problems, and the cooperatives who have been destroyed. We had the Bulungbuansi to deal with our cleanness in the area and whatever. Those went away. So who did it? I think the NRM will be the better person to answer that. Ramathan said, why pay elders? You see, let me tell you something. If I'm a pensioner, I worked for public service, I'm paid pension. What about that villager who dug a cotton, who dug a coffee? He cannot do any more than an elder, yet the economy grew on him. He should really be looked after. And that's why we say elders should be looked after, because they contributed to them. But because they were not in the service where they were paid a pension at the end of the year, your pension is from the crops you grew which made the country. Okay. How does this country look like? You see, the country is now being given to foreigners. The Chinese are taking our land, the Indians are taking our land. Instead, all Ugandans are going to become laborers, just, and that's where the anger comes from. Now, how do you buy people? You see, I was interested. I want to tell you something which I saw recently. There was an election in the central chief. Our colleague did the Central Executive
Committee. We are going into that as part of the...
Just a quick one. I want to look at two candidates. The Speaker of Parliament versus Namuganza. The Speaker of Parliament was using resources of Parliament, the cars, the guards, the helicopters and whatever. Namuganza was using, I think also a government car, but of course on the road.
Doesn't the law talk about ordinarily attached?
Yeah, but I'm trying to give up. I want to give up. You see what I'm trying to say. So, even Namuganza now would fight to become a speaker so that next time she can also have facilities of that nature to win an election. And for me, if you look at what the lady got, Namuganza, vis-a-vis the resources she put in, again as the speaker, you know very well the speaker has lost. Why? If the speaker had not those resources attached, which are taxpayers, she would not have won. And you see, look at what it is. What did you put in vis-a-vis what you got and whatever? That's the way I want to say. Now, why do you say buy? Exactly. One of them is an office. Betty Kamyase was in the FDC. He was given an office. Is she, where is she? She is now going to stand Minister on
lands.
But so what other examples do you want to be buying? Betty Amongi was a UPC. Where is she? So what examples do you want? Because they have now facilities, they can now, these are rival examples you see. Now if you see those who are doing the same running, for me I want to congratulate those who are down there who have not left. I want to congratulate those who are in the struggle who have not left. But those who want to feed this, they will always go. By the way,
we need to move to...
No, but just a quick one. And my sister will agree with me that you know you have a business. Your business goes down. And you keep staying in the struggle. It shows you are determined.
Okay. Having answered that, we need to touch on the issue of internal democracy within political parties. Honorable Justin, start us off on that very, very quickly. Having run successfully SEC elections, which caused excitement around the country, especially within your membership. Are you satisfied with, despite the challenges, despite all the name calling? I saw you on the last day before the election saying that there must be respect, the issue of name calling must be avoided, and I saw how the first vice chairperson, Haji Chigongo, was struggling to bring to order actually Namuganza for referring personally to the speaker and in a way which was disrespectful and all that kind of thing. Are you, given all those challenges, are you satisfied within your party with what is so far going on, that is the kind of internal democracy that you envisage?
First of all, I want to congratulate the NRM people for having had the national conference. You were able to pull it off as a team, as a family. It's unprecedented. When we went into this kind of election, none of us knew how it would do, what would happen, what we would do. But under the guidance of His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni as the national chairman, we were able to get to where we are. I want to congratulate those who won. I want to congratulate all of those who offered themselves as candidates. I want to congratulate those who participated as members of the national conference, but also members of NRM who are so active, but also the whole country, because NRM being the party in leadership, it becomes a concern to all, because the actions of NRM affect many. I want to congratulate everybody. Whether I'm happy or what, I'm up there. I'm so happy with what happened. I'm so happy with what happened, because at the end of the day, what did we set out to achieve? What we set out to achieve was to have the executive committee of NRM elected. They were elected. Get a presidential flag bearer. I now have a presidential flag bearer as a secretary general. And actually, as we talk now, I'm getting signatures from registered voters in this country to endorse his candidature so that I can be able to submit his nomination papers early in time and even verify the signatures. I'm working, I'm at work.
Good.
Yes, so the issue of the issue of disrespect for this or the other.
Or party discipline.
There is discipline in the party, but it's not 100%. But still it's my responsibility as Secretary General, if it has come to my attention and I've realized it is not the right language, to tell the person, the people, those who are there, those who are listening, that this is not right. That's my work. Okay. And I had to get up and tell them.
Okay.
So the issue of who is not happy with the results, the process is on. Whoever is not happy to petition and say, I'm not happy, but also give reason, I'm not happy for this or the other, so that we look at it. And whoever, I've received a petition from...
How many have you received?
I've received so far one petition from Honorable Sanjay Tana, who contested for the post of Vice Chairperson Eastern Region. And but I'm not at liberty to discuss the merits or demerits of it here, because that is not part of what, that's not how we are supposed to do it. So we've received it. It is going to be looked at by our team of lawyers, but also, you know, when it comes to issues of politics, you look at the legal bit, but also look at the political bit and combine the two.
That's a nice one. And then you take a decision based on the political one.
If it's a legal matter, then it requires for redoing the exercise. If it has a substantive effect. But if it is a political issue, it may require that you bring the two together, or you bring in more people
and
to talk to and build cause unity. Because in politics, even listening to somebody, that is a sign that you attach value to somebody.
Okay.
Yes.
Good.
So I'm happy as the Secretary General. The issue of all the people being mayors, I don't know how many mayors have been endorsed who are older than honorable, who are in retirement, who have been endorsed. I would want to hear that from Secretary General of FDC, because the way he praises it, that means that there is no room for young people to get his signature as Secretary General to go and be mayors in some of these cities. That's what he insinuated, and if that is true, that will be very unfortunate. The issue of money, Honorable Nandala Mafabi, you're talking about money. You can't tell me you're a political party, but on a village you cannot get people who believe in your ideology, people you have talked to who believe in your mission, that they can even stand and live against whatever is happening and live behind and live off money. It is very unfortunate. In politics, people who are with you must be able to stand with you. Whatever. Darkness, light, that means you have shared with them your mission and they are with you. Come what may, they will be with you. And you have them. I want you to acknowledge those people. They are there. I also know them. I know some of them. They are there. But the issue of saying money, it's like you are saying those people who are with you are people who are just waiting for the opportunity to be given money. No. I think let's respect those few you may have or you have.
Exactly. That's
please,
what I was saying.
But don't. And even then, when you disagree and people go away, I don't want you to say that people go away because they are looking for money. Even before they came to you, there was money, whatever you assume money is somewhere. Money was, but
he said
when you disagree,
they come to better their opportunities.
That language will not grow your party. And politics is about numbers. Change that attitude. If that's what you are carrying as FDC, my competitor, as NRM, I would really think change that language. Because you have even people who donate to you as FDC. You have people who have donated to FDC. Acknowledge them. They had also the option to go somewhere, also to donate somewhere else. And by the way, incidentally, quite a number of the people who donate to you, some of them are the people who donate to us. So
you
somehow, as fair as that, yes, I know them, he knows them.
But he said he wrote to one of them.
Then the issue of
they did not respond.
When he wrote openly. Even when they are responding to mine, they don't respond in the media. They go to the account. If we also went to his account and go to the cameras, you may find they are the same people. No. So let's go. Let's see. It's not that we have come to expose people. But which is the issue of the elderly being looked after. The issue of the elderly, NRM government has the SAGE program under the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development. And it started in a few districts. It's now rolled out in the whole country. The only challenge is that the age was increased. Maybe you as a member of parliament, increase the funding, increase funds to that particular program so that they reduce on the age so that more people are able to access it because the age is too high. That I acknowledge. The issue of people from other political parties who are working with NRM, you know, quite a number of people who compete with the NRM in politics, quite a number of them forget what they were talking about in 2006. Whenever we conclude elections and we are preparing to constitute a new government, there is always that voice, please bring everybody on board, bring everybody on board. When NRM is constituting cabinet, constituting the different institutions, some already in the constitution that the issue of gender, but some of them, like when it comes to 2006, people kept saying, bring the opposition on board, bring the opposition on board. Now, when we went and got people from the opposition to come and serve us, to come and serve the country, then you begin saying they've been bought. When they get from those who are line 12 to come, you said they've been bought. Yet you are saying it should be all inclusiveness. And yet constitutionally, the winner takes it all. It should have been all for NRM. But for NRM to say, let's have a DP part of cabinet, let's have UPC part of cabinet, let's have independence part of cabinet, then again you say they went to it. And yet you are saying we should have these people there so that it brings out the true meaning of inclusiveness. We have the Moses Sali you're talking about, Right Honorable Moses Sali. But also in that very cabinet, have Honorable Chibule. Because we must have the elderly, we must have the young. We must have the women, must have the men. We must have all of the generations in there, so that there is no generation to complain.
Okay, good. Honorable Nathan.
Thank you very much. I also want to congratulate the NRM for having conducted a successful
with that I have to clap.
Elections.
Successful SEC election.
SEC election.
Do you think that they reflected an ideal
and then also,
disciplined party?
Also what I want to tell her is that today we have nominated our presidential candidates. Also going to go in the country, we should also be allowed to do our exercise.
And you have my full support. You should
now,
have
having
your
said
political
that,
space.
you should look at
But
what
follow
cost.
the law.
At what cost? I was in Kabale. I found the whole RDC, the DPC, RPC, all government vehicles waiting for Mukura, who was coming. They told us, no, the previous day there has been the speaker, they had also been doing the same, they want to do this. Now they come, all also they are coming with the government vehicles and whatever. So at what cost? And that's where I want my sister, Justine, who said that they declare the accounts at the Electoral Commission. Do you declare? You see, declaring accounts is what do you put in those accounts? Do you put all income and all expenditure? That's where we must put up. So the issues whereby expenditures are using the taxpayers' money whereby are not being reflected in the NRM books altogether. And this is where we say there are a problem. That's why I talked about the Speaker Namugazi. I saw one of the NRM one complaining, why should she use a helicopter and another one is working? Yes, a helicopter is a public asset, and I think the Secretary General of NRM would have said, that one you have gone excessive. Now, having said all those, what are these people who join? We have not said that you should pick, we are saying, we have not saying we should stop the winner taking it all. The law says so, and we have allowed the law to take it all. Nobody has complained. The one of throwing of inclusives and whatever is your own decision, wanting to pick here and there. We have not said the Constitution says you should share with opposition. No. But you know why you come to pick some of them. You know the reasons. Now, having said that the elders, I was replying to Ramathan, who said it is not sustainable. But also what we are saying that you copied the FDC manifesto of 2006, but if we were the one implementing it, all elders would be paid. Why do you pay somebody above 80? 80, there are very few. There are very few of that nature. In public service, they start paying you pension when you are 60. So why don't you start at 60? Now you're talking of resources. It's because the resources are being mismanaged. For example, like during this last election of SEC, all the expenses which were there, if they were put on proper use, the elders would have got. We have enough resources in this country, but the way we apply is our own big problem. If we are applying them economically, I am sure this country would have gone to a higher level. Our public expenditure, our mismanagement, our wastage is our big problem. But I can tell you, if we had applied it well, it would do well. These tax exemptions, they are too much. These waivers are too much. And that's why some of us are saying no. These waivers are given to people so that they can support the system. I want to state this. Look at and this my sister should also carry out research. Who are the movement chairpersons of the district? You will get they are the business in that area. They are the ones who do contracts. They are the ones who don't pay taxes. Now they support the system not because they are supporting it with their conviction. They are supporting it because of the resources they are getting from it. Now if those resources were applied whereby a district chair does a good job, a district chair pays the taxes, he doesn't complain. Those are resources those leakages would have gone to pay the elders he's talking about, would have all the roads, would even not be borrowing. The country is now a borrow. In fact, we have mortgaged our country. You know, when somebody says we have not passed the bad stage of borrowing, I don't know what ratios they are using. But if you go the normal ratios, over 70 trillion debt is dangerous for a nation. It's very dangerous. And this is building up. Why? For example, you are having a budget of 45 trillion, you are collecting 16 trillion. It means the difference between 45 and 16 will be borrowed to fund the budget. You are building the stock of debt. At the end of the day, it will become unsustainable. And that's why you even recall, we had to borrow to pay wages. That's why you see, and you see, these are things we watch. I'll give another example which I want the Secretary General of NRM to go and investigate. We passed a budget, a supplementary of 89 billion to buy masks. 89 billion. Did we get the masks? Have we got the masks? We passed, I don't know what, for giving food in Kampala here or Kiso. Did they get? You see, these are things we should always.
59 also.
Of
59
course.
billion.
People have used COVID. That's why you see some are going to stand having made money not in COVID. Others are dying because of COVID. Of course, COVID is not the one killing. Because of poverty is killing because of COVID. Those who cannot access medical because of COVID. Others are using dead bodies to make money so that some go and contest, some go and build mansions, some do what. So we are saying
that's a very grave accusation. I don't know whether you can prove it.
I will. I will. I will start with this, and I can also. I want you to look at it. Go and investigate. Did we get all the food? Did we get all the masks?
No, I mean the issue of saying that using dead bodies to make money.
Of course. This one we can. I'm happy that Parliament has asked for accountability. You will see. Do you know dead body? You see, people think dead body is where somebody is dying. If I've closed a road, I've said no transport. A pregnant mother dies. It is not COVID which has killed. But as a result of COVID that have closed public transport, a mother has died. But there is one who has benefited in COVID. There's, I think people don't think that COVID is when you go to Mulago or Mbalo Hospital, you die of COVID, is when you have said you have died of COVID. There are people who died as a result of lockdown.
That's true.
This business has gone down as a result of lockdown. Yeah. But there have been beneficiaries in that. So
okay.
what?
Good. Let me bring in Ggobi. We are winding up now, and I need your comment on, as an observer of the political goings in this country, do you think that what's going on in the parties is something you can talk about as democracy worth their name within FDC, within NUP, within NRM? NRM has just showcased its own election with its own election. Of course, a lot of challenges as well. DP, UPC, do you want to just make a general comment?
I think first the exodus you see happening in the opposition is a direct reflection of what we have been discussing, that it's very difficult to build multi-party dispensation in a situation like the one we have now. Now people are looking at a chance of getting elected. Where is it lying?
Where is a potential for votability or electability more?
Absolutely. Those who are in opposition. There are some actually would have loved maybe to cross even, to go to the yellow, but they are in areas where they see that the chance now lies there, but they should go and attach themselves to another group.
But Honorable Justin referred to few people who might have left. She referred to 3. I don't know whether she means, because I wanted to say that it's not only people leaving the opposition. NRM has also suffered some people leaving.
Yep.
You can, is it, there is the MP from Mubende, I forget his name, but there is, who has gone to NAP.
Zamba.
Yes, you know. Oshabe. And then there is Nambeshe as well, who has also gone there. And I think there are 3 or 2 or something like that. So the crisscrossing, can we really only relate it to and say it is because of money when it is all over?
No, it can't be money. It can't be money. That's why it's not necessarily money, but it's about where are they likely to get elected.
Okay.
Then when they go to parliament, why are people standing for MP anyway? They stand for MP to represent their people in parliament, but also to satisfy their personal political ambitions.
Good.
Whichever way they are.
Okay, can I request my technical team? We have less than, I think, under 10 minutes, but we have the comments and questions from the public. My technical team, can you kindly bring the questions and comments? The question that we were polling, how best can political alliances work in Uganda? How best can political alliances work in Uganda? There are a number of comments. Kenneth Byarugaba Mugume on Twitter says, by sitting and wishing that they were able to defeat Museveni because that is all they can do. That's the view of Kenneth. Obene Andrew says, political alliance is somehow difficult to achieve in Uganda because of ideological differences. But if greed, selfishness, and self-centeredness is minimized, where forces work for the same goal, then the political alliance can work. That's from Obene Andrew. Nobo, also on Twitter, says, I think they can unite under one umbrella, set rules and regulations for the best of their work. That's from Nobo. Mandela Millie says, by putting ideas that intend at building the country as a whole and solving the desires of our citizens in action, before even standing for political offices. Verbal such that, I don't understand what that sentence means, such that it becomes culture and it manifests while standing for political offices. I'm not sure I understood the construction there very well, but that is what Mandela Mbili says. Let's get another one from Nancy Nguza, something like that. That political alliances in Uganda can work better if they can have one voice on national matters, and most especially by fronting one candidate for presidency. That's from Nancy. Then Okech Godfrey says, we are already in secret political alliance apart from the new branded NUP party. All parties allied to the political party, to the ruling party, sorry. That all parties are allied to the ruling party. Honorable Justin, that's for you.
Even FDC?
Then Tony Kent Chaze says, by developing principles to follow and upon such realizations, trust should be ensured. With the trust, they will be able to delegate or entrust particular assignments to desired officials from the varying political parties, but in agreed principle. Those are the views that have been shared from the public out there. Honorable Justin and Honorable Nandala, I'll give you, I think we're left with not more than 4 minutes. So I'll give you 2 minutes each. But as part of our culture here, the panelists also ask a question of the guests. So I'll ask Ggobi, keep whatever comment you want to make final, and combine it with the questions that Ggobi is going to ask each of you. So Ggobi, I'll ask you to go for it. Ask Honorable Nandala a question and Honorable Justin a question, and then they answer and we close.
Honorable Nandala, I've been over years listening to the politics of FDC, and according to FDC, the incumbent has never won a single election. In all of those elections, the incumbent has been rigging. Why then do you continue to contest against him every time election comes along? And Honorable Lumumba, the NRM party has managed the country for 35 years. They are going to be 35 years very soon. What do you think you haven't done in the 35 years that you would want to do in the next 5 years differently? Thank you.
Thanks, Ggobi. Let's have Honorable Nandala respond.
Thank you very much. First of all, I have here coffee from UBC Cooperative Union. I want to advertise it, and it's the best coffee in the whole world.
That's the coffee you are promoting?
Yes, I'm promoting, and for you to show you that it's very good, I'll give it to Ramathan. You try it and tell everybody to buy UBC Cooperative.
What is it called?
Elgon Pride.
Elgon Pride. That's a good. That's
a packet to buy a piece with her.
Now, thanks, Honorable. This is Bubu, right?
No, but what I also want to add, what Nathan may not know, he may be looking at that coffee only for consumption in the body. For men and women, if you want to have a good skin, glowing skin, that coffee is enough to be a facial scrub for your face only twice a week. You look fine.
That's a nice one.
So you see,
so you can use it for different
That's
things.
why I like Justine, my sister, for that.
Thanks for that. That's a product of Uganda,
yes.
And we are proud of the people of
and that's
Bugisu.
what we want to try it, and it's the best coffee in the whole world.
And next time come with more.
No, I have.
More so that you can.
I'm going to give you.
Okay, thanks a lot.
This one I wanted to give Ramathan because he has asked me a very simple question.
Now, go for it.
In this, we don't need to be friends in the struggle. Whereby, if we have the objective on what we're standing on, we don't need to be friends. So what would be that we should be aiming at what we're doing. And that's why they were saying great what in the struggle is the one which kills the struggle. So what I'm trying to call on that we have to be not friends. And the struggle is to make sure that we get power to do for people of Uganda what they have. And that is to make, some of us are fighting for equitability, having resources for everybody, go to school, enjoy a little school together, mention it. Now that's why we have our manifestos from 2-1. Dr. Besigye stood on the reform, as a reform agenda, we won, but you know what happened. 2-6, the same. 2-11 is where we had an issue, that's because of, again, alliances which brought us an issue. By the 2-6, we performed badly. 2-16, we won. And what happened is that now when Dr. Besigye was sworn in, he was arrested and taken to Morocco. And he came, when they brought him, they took him to court. He said, yes, I am the legitimate president of this country. I have evidence. Up to now, that is the case they have never prosecuted. Whenever they go, they say, we're pushed ahead. Why? Because that was an opportunity to show the whole world what happened. And that's why
I will ask Justin to specifically comment on that.
And that's why we said that we wanted to audit the exercise, the audit the election, and then you recall the Swedish came here, whatever, there was a memorandum signed, whatever. As soon as Mzee Museveni was sworn in, he took everything at the back. But I can tell you, if you audit that exercise, you will discover that FDC got more than 50%.
Okay.
So now that was the rigging. Now why do we go back? It's like you're saying, for us we know in this election we're going, the referee is biased. The one of the players is also the one who appoints the referee. So it's already biased. But in the garden where you grow, me I always give some, you have your Matoke garden, shamba, thieves steal. You don't have to abandon the shamba because they're stealing. You still continue making grow Matoke and say, one day I'll arrest the thief. And we know one day we shall arrest the thief. Oh. And I can tell you, this country is becoming, knowing what goes on. And of course, why we're saying all this, they are saying also, why would people continue voting us if they knew what was, or that if they never knew what we're standing for? And we are keeping building, until one day we shall build the massive force to overpower the system. And that's why you see, when my sister said that, we said when you vote, you go to the streets and whatever. Yes, if I have put my vote there, I should protect it at the end. Unfortunately, we never protected the end because Justin Lumumba threatened and the people feared. But if they had come out, which they are about to overcome that fear, one day they will be there to defend.
But who would defend your votes at all polling stations when you didn't field in many polling stations in the country you didn't even have candidates to field?
I can tell you there are people who were there. Let me give you an example. There was a polling station in Nakapilipit where the votes of Dr. Besigye got over 400 votes. I think NRM got about 2 votes. Now what they did, they changed the results. One old man said, but that was, of course it was an opportunity.
Where you didn't even have
an agent. But if that old man had become serious, he is one of those who complained and came and with in
Karamoja.
In Karamoja.
Okay.
He managed to move with that declaration up to now. He brought it to headquarters. But what we're saying that if that old man had turned himself to say that vote is mine, I should protect it, then the agent would be the one who voted.
Good. Honorable Justin, respond, and especially don't miss the issue of the claim that they saw in a candidate who won but who could not take power. And 2 minutes to wind up.
Thank you. Honorable Nathani Nandala. For you to prove that you won, you must show evidence that you won. It's not about talking about it without showing. You must have evidence. You must bring declaration forms per polling station. But for you, you are telling your supporters that after voting, go to the street, even failing to stay behind to get the declaration form. So you are giving different instructions and you want to achieve something different, leaving the core of what you require to show that you claim that you won. You have evidence. That's something that you ought to change in your strategy as a political party that wants to take leadership. Because even when you say, when you go to court, you should be able to produce evidence that this is it. So you say, after voting, go on the street. Who remained behind to pick the declaration form? You are just contradicting yourself. And I think that's not right. We as leaders should be focused on what we want and keep eyes on the ball. And I think as your sister, I would really say after this we should have discussions, because it is for the good of all of us anyway, as leaders in the country. The issue of if you say 1-1, why do you go to take oath? Some were hiding without even inviting the party president of your party to come, and President General of your party to witness your swearing in. All of those are contradictions, but I don't think they are of any much benefit to us now. Let me go to what Dr. Ggobi has asked. What are you going to do different from the way you've been doing? One, let me just single out. We want to have a scientific-led manifesto. We want to have guided development in this country, not development by chance. Because what has been happening, Dr. Ggobi wakes up, he goes to a commercial bank, he picks a loan, and goes to invest without any guidance from government. Ordinary people don't have money to do research, so that there is information, there is data, there is what one can read and take an informed position of what to invest in based on the information has been able to get. So you find, like, let me give an example. People in Kampala, the rich, those we call the rich, they go and put up buildings on Kampala Road, William, what, but the occupancy is between 10 and 30%. But they have picked loans from banks to put up these buildings. Whereas people in government ought to have done enough research and seen what are we importing in this country that can be done here. As people are making sugar, there is the sugar cane produced in the different parts of this country, in Busoga, in Bunyoro, in Acholi. What much benefit do we get from the sugar cane? We're only processing sugar for home consumption. But then we are importing industrial sugar for making the syrups, for Coca-Cola, for the drinks. And in 2018, the importation of industrial sugar was worth $96.4 million US. So why don't we then organize the people who are putting up buildings that don't have tenants to go and be encouraged to come together, form a company, put their resources together, or even go to get money from Uganda Development Bank and invest in industrial sugar, add more value, deepen the value attached to a sugar cane, so that, and then the government decides not to import sugar, industrial sugar, but buy sugar from these people who are producing it in this country, instead of having high buildings that don't have occupants. That is something that we are looking at as a party. This is new. Then when you look at deepening, the issue of deepening the value addition, let me still talk about the sugar cane. We only get sugar cane. We need to get ethanol from it. But in addition to that, can the ordinary person, the Munyoro, the Musoga, where this sugar cane is produced, should be able to make paper from this instead of throwing it away? Should be able to even, as we make sugar, can you who have mangoes, can you use this sugar so that you make the juice? Can you use the sugar cane to make sanitary pads for the girls? Can you use from the very sugar cane, get beyond the sugar? Those are issues that we are looking at, but we shall unveil all of this as we bring out the manifesto, because that's when we'll be giving accountability of what we have been able to do and what we have not been able to do, but equally tell Ugandans what is new.
When is the manifesto of NRM coming out?
It will come out in the next 2 months.
In the next 2 months.
Yes.
Honorable Nandala, when is the official candidate of FDC being confirmed?
No, we have nominated. In 2 months or so, we should be able to confirm, because there will be also elections. So they are starting to move the whole country.
Yeah.
And when they are moving in the whole country, they are going to be together.
Okay, good. Thanks a lot. Someone called Anthony has sent me the same message twice, meaning he really is dying that he is a fan of Behind the Headlines. He says, "Hello, Charles. This is to Honorable Secretary General of the NRM. Thank her for me and thank her for leading our party." And he says he's called Anthony, that she is a good lady. Honorable Justin, you have a fan there. I will give you his number so that maybe he's one of those that you can enlist as your fans. And thanks a lot to Mr. Ggobi, Ramathan. Thanks for holding forth. Thanks a lot. I know Honorable Margaret is listening in. The terrible network today affected our communication through Zoom, but nonetheless we thank you for being available for Behind the Headlines, and thanks also in his absentia in the studio here to Honorable Abdu Katuntu, and we wish you a complete and quick recovery from the illness, and we wait to have you back. Thanks a lot to the guests, to Honorable Nandala Mafabi and Honorable Justin Lumumba. Honorable Nandala Mafabi is actually MP for Budadiri West in Bugisu. I forgot to say that apart from being Secretary General of the party, and Honorable Justin Lumumba, Secretary General of the ruling
and
NRM,
the Chairman Bugisu Cooperative.
And Chairman Bugisu Cooperative Union, which is based in Bali, right? Yes.
Bugisu, based in Bugisu.
Based in Bugisu. Thanks a lot for that. And from the team here, the technical team especially, that makes it possible for this show to be brought, thank you very much. I can't thank you enough. Thanks a lot to my producers, the entire team, Ivan, Bills, and Maurice, William, all of you. Thank you so much. And to you out there, please take care. You have seen us today throughout in masks. But COVID has gotten more serious. There are so many positive tests turning up, and Kampala is now an epicenter for community transmission, and several other places around the country. Please take it seriously. Take the operating procedures seriously. Wear your masks, especially when you are in public. Ensure that you wash your hands with soap, properly with soap. Don't touch your mouth, your eyes, and your nose.
Charles, before you wind up.
Yes.
On behalf of the team here, I want to thank UBC Inspiring Uganda Behind the Headlines. You have given us a pen, you have given us a notebook, you have given, no, it's less than 100,000.
It doesn't reach 100,000.
And you have also given us the cups. We want to thank you because this is not common
you have
in
even
this
a cup
country.
and a pen.
Yeah,
but the pen has no ink.
Mine has want to thank you so much on behalf of the team.
I tried this, mine has no ink.
We are just sharing with you because we know that it's a sacrifice you make.
When somebody gives you something, you don't have to go and look into details. That's not part of our culture.
That it doesn't have ink. Honorable, I'll give you mine. Mine has ink. But very, very important. Take the COVID prevention message very seriously, so that we want you to be safe, so that we are also safe. And to my colleagues, journalists out there who have tested positive, we are with you. We pray for you. We wish you all the best. This is not a death sentence. Don't be scared. We are also trying to protect ourselves so that we lessen the number of infection. But let's take the messages very clearly. Out there, please keep safe and stay home if you don't have anything to do out of your home. Good night. God bless you. God bless Uganda. Bye-bye.
weekend on UBC.
Wow, I can finally say that I made it in Kasese. Woof! Finally, after a long while. It's about, I think, 30 degrees hot. I'm saying tattoo, and I don't know why, but me, I'm sweating like crazy. You know, they say in life there is a time and place for everything. A time to get down and dirty into the bushes, and a time to enjoy all the luxury with all the amenities available at your fingertips. This week, we bring you the show from an expensive luxury retreat called Chikorongo Safari Lodge, nestled in the heart of Rwenzori.
Drago, you're welcome to Kambere, your room, your cottage.
Wow.
How do you love it?
Oh my God.
Yes.
This feels like a presidential suite.
It is.
This place here in Chikorongo, we are at the center of one of the biggest conservation areas